A very warm welcome to all our participants. I see Ashutosh, Gauri, Megha, Tushar, Sarna, Ayushi, Bhavna, Pooja, Mr. Mittal. Thank you so much for joining in today. Well, we are all set to begin with another exciting session on connecting the dots. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. With an increasing number of well-known organizations like IBM, General Motors, and many well-known companies appointing female CEOs, the trend towards women in leadership positions seems to be on the rise. Women in her life has more heavier responsibility than men. Double play of a woman today has not only responsibilities at home as a housewife, but also out of doors as career women. This shows that women are constantly juggling their commitments and responsibilities, both personally and professionally. Their struggles are variations on a theme as they try to find greater balance between the different facets of their lives while doing their best to express their genius as well as talent through their career and family. Join us and be part of this exciting session where our experts will be sharing their experiences and valuable inputs on how women, as a person, professional, and partner, balance their role in life. HRAI welcomes you all to the session on connecting the dots, women, personal, professional, and partner. To know more about HRAI and its event, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We'll be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all the participants to kindly share your feedback on the session. I now take the privilege to introduce our esteemed panel members for today's webinar. Ms. Shefali Sangal, founder, Women with Wings. Shefali brings with her 21 years of industry experience. Women with Wings is a platform which talks about women empowerment, women collaboration, and helping women live their dreams. Shefali is also the state president, UPHR Council with Women India Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She runs her charitable trust, Bhavishya, which takes initiatives for women and child, and she is also a certified POSH consultant. Shefali is an advisory council of Young Entrepreneur Network and a mentor to Indian Institute of Information Technology, Kottayam. You can also follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Our next panel member, Ms. Debchani Roy, Chief Human Resource Officer, Mind Your Fleet, Chromosome Softwares Private Limited. An HR domain expert with 25 plus years of industry experience across segments like manufacturing, telecom, IT, ITES, travel, hospitality, healthcare, etc. As a pass out from FMS Delhi and a passionate HR practitioner by choice, have been facilitated for transformational as well as curated HR works in organizations of repute by national and international agencies throughout her career span. Currently, the CHRO of a startup in the IT space also offered independent HR consulting to organizations on project basis. Also is an adjunct faculty to many B schools, a prolific speaker across events, and an author too. You can follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Our next panel member, Ms. Raina Khatri Tandon, CEO, founder, Right to Rise. Ms. Raina Khatri Tandon is an international acclaimed speaker, mentor who has been on various conferences and summits representing India on gender equality, women and child rights, and inclusiveness. She holds double degree in IT and law. She is the founder of Right to Rise and RKT Foundation, which is catering to training, compliance, and auditing of various organizations. She is an alumni of EDX Harvard in Women and Child Rights, as also Human Rights. She has been felicitated as Thrive Global 100 Mentors, mentor at Chair Blake Foundation, and also the UN Rex Karmavir Global Fellowship Awardee 2019-2020. Raina has represented India at World Women's Summit 2020 and is also a global ambassador for sustainable SDG 5 UN goals for gender equality, inclusiveness, and UN Chartered Human Rights. She is well known as a limitless enabler and global inclusion innovator with 22 years of experience to her credit. You can also follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Now I'll introduce our panel cum moderator for today's session, Ms. Vandana Teji, founder and chief consultant, The Unicorn People. Ms. Vandana is a human resource professional with over 13 years of industry experience. She holds a degree in strategic human resource management from the National University of Singapore. She is the founder of the Unicorn People, a new age HR consulting firm, and co-founder of Entraco, an employee engagement app. She has been empaneled by the Government of India as a resource person to spread awareness for the prevention of sexual harassment (POSH) of women at workplace. She acts as an external member for the internal committee of various organizations where she guides policy making, grievance handling, and resolution to enable a safe workplace. She is also an active member of Green Heart Dignity, Italy, and is working towards the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. You can also follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Without taking much time, I now hand over the platform to Ms. Vandana. Over to you, Vandana.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for actually giving us the elaborative introduction. Thank you so much. That was really, really wow. And hello, everybody. Good evening. So let me begin. There is something special about today. Any guesses that we can actually have? Please use the chat window. This is gonna be a conversational panel, and we're gonna talk to you while we are actually talking amongst ourselves. Okay, because the topic is such we can't really be quiet about it. So, any idea why is it special today? Nobody has an idea.
Maybe because it's about you and me. Maybe it is about maybe it's about personal, professional, and all the gossips that happen around us.
Yes, Rana, you're taking away the clue that I had. It's related to the topic that we have today for the discussion.
So we have a comment from Parvati also that has come in.
Okay. So what, dear speaker, shining in this world with great work. Okay, thank you. So, coming ahead, the reason why is it special is because today we are going to celebrate the journey of women to discuss how they have been able to outperform in their role as a person, as a professional, and a partner. And best part that is that today is not even 8th March. Yes, 8th March, that's Women's Day, just in case, people were unable to reconnect to my joke. So yes, so thank you so much. And I see that definitely as a progress. That now There is no certain day required to talk about the topic of women. Today, we are celebrating the achievement of women, despite it is not Women's Day, because that is what is required. Moving ahead, let's begin with a quote by Michelle Obama. I love her. There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. Right, everybody? Everybody boosted and motivated? Great. I love that, Shefali. Thank you for that heart. On that note, let's begin this panel discussion and learn how our strong and tenacious panelists broken down the doors of patriarchy and are now basking in the glory of success. Welcome Devjani, Reina, and Shefali to the panel. Hey, great. So let me just begin, with a very, very personal question to all of you. And I'm going to follow the alphabetical order. I'm a great fan of alphabetical order because that ways, everybody is equal. When I talk about equality, I follow equality myself. Okay. So, yes, tell us about your journey as a person, professional, and a partner. Over to you, Devjan.
Thank you, Vandana. And thank you, HR Association of India and Wiki and everybody else associated with this platform. You are right. Even I'm stoked that we didn't have to wait for a March 8th to make this happen because every day is Women's Day. And we don't really need a special occasion to celebrate the fact that we are all powerhouse women ourselves. So thank you again for making this happen. Personal, professional, and partner. I'll reverse the order. I'll go in the reverse order. I'll start by saying, as a partner, I've had the most cherished association with an individual for the last 21 years. I married late, but then I married right. I didn't want to go for a marriage just because it was an institution that had to be abided for, but I wanted to go in for a relationship where there would be a relationship of two equals who would have space, who would have respect, and who would have camaraderie between themselves. And I think I don't know who to call God, but the supreme power on top does sometimes fulfill your desires and wishes. And I have somebody in my life who is my rock of Gibraltar. If there's a success that I've outlined in my career, in as a person, I've evolved. I've struck up a lot of milestones. I have fallen and gotten up. It's because of that person. Don't want to embarrass by taking the name because he's very shy. He's just the opposite of me in terms of the kind of personality he is. But then, given 7 times, 10 times, 15 times, I wouldn't want to change him for anything else. So I think this partnership is for keeps. We have a wonderful child. I think he has played an equal role in bringing up that child as I would have had. So we've never had a problem with who's the mother and who's the father. Honestly, we've all had our heads into the pot, and when the goings got tough, we both supported each other in creating the solutions at home. So that's the partnership part. As a professional, Shefali knows, in my 27 years of complete career, there are only 2 names that I have landed up with at the end of it. One is the razor steel woman, and the second is the Bengal tigress. Now, I don't know if any of those 2 tell you anything about what I would have achieved, but yes, 27 years of a fantastic career. I landed up in HR, human resource, by default and not by design. I was going the Indian Administrative Service way. I even qualified in the generals and the mains in the first chance, but something happened and I finally didn't go for my interview. And sometimes when it takes a turn like that, it probably does it for the right reasons. When I went into HR, I found my calling. Again, I had been blessed to have some of the best bosses, superior officers, peer groups, juniors, teams who didn't just work for me, but who gave their lives and their commitments. And till date, I cherish every team that I've commanded in about 7 organizations that I've worked for. All those 7 organizations have actually, created the kind of person that I am. And the fact remains, that at the end of the day, when I look at my career span and I look at what I would have achieved, I don't want to qualify it as an achievement. I want to qualify it as a journey of life. 27 years is just half, not half, a little less than a half of what I am today in terms of a chronology age. And there have been many milestones. I've won accolades, I've won awards, I've got my reputation intact as somebody with ethics. Nobody really has ever turned around me and tried to, have something which is unethical. They have known that this is not an easy person to deal with. But then, if I've given my friendship and my ability to be somebody's colleague, it has been for life. So those are the principles on which I have based my career on. Very, very happy that even when I've now taken out time from a full-time career to become a consultant, and then doing many things together, I have enough of a network who supports me at every juncture to make things happen. I'm a person who's as transparent as water. I don't play pretensions. I don't play games. I've never learned doing that. As an individual, I've rarely been afraid of anything. I've been a desert rally driver. I have done scuba diving. I've done undersea walking. I've done many of those things which are typically, a cause of concern to people. Anxiety doesn't come easily to me. I dream very well, which means that I must also be sleeping tight. So even at this age, with so much going wrong around you, if you're able to chalk up this kind of a spirit and are able to sleep tight and get up in the morning feeling fresh again, I think it's a life well spent. That's the kind of person I am. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to you. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Amazing, Devjani. I think there's a lot to learn from you. And I think if we are able to motivate even one soul out there today, I think that's work done for the panel. So moving ahead, Rena.
Very good afternoon to lovely viewers. Thank you very much, Vandana. I'm actually lost of words when to start from my journey after hearing Dev Jani's journey. And it's so much resonates when you hear a strong woman speak. And I would like to thank Peterson HRAI, the entire community who is stood by HR Association of India and their supporters, and beautiful Vandana with Unicorn people as well, who is here to introduce us. Where do I start is my thought. I just know one thing, that I may not be complete. I might have flaws. The one thing I wear best is my confidence. The confidence that I would like to carry on, which turns everybody on the minute I am there in front of them sharing my story. Just like Dev Jani, I think I've had my ups and downs. I've had a lot of things. But what's made me beautiful in my personal life is that I have always had people who've stood by my dreams. Whether it's my parents, whether it's my grandfather, I would take specifically his name because he inspires me. And when he left at around 96, the only one thing that I inspired from his journey was, what is the legendary experience I am here to stay and give away? It's not about competition. It's not about creating. I don't know whether it is business, but I started off being an individual trying to create impact in lives. And that impact meant anything which is small, anything that is big, but something which is magical. It went on with being just a small movement from doing something unique all the time. So I stepped up from a business family, wanting to do or become the first 9 to 5 engineer to come out in a family of 13 siblings that my father has. The first one to make it as a breakthrough coach, the first one to make it out of India, not stepping out of the houses, but yet to go and do my master's at UK. Did my PhDs at Edinburgh and became a VLSI chip design engineer, which was a never heard word about 13 years back. But yes, after doing that, I think my masters and my postgrads did teach me one thing, that there's nothing to worry about in the world. What worries about is only the self-doubt that you have inside, which might cause you inhibition. So something called FEAR just vanished. Okay, so I'm not saying I don't have it. Every time I come into a new stage, it does keep bubbling inside the stomach, just like butterflies into you and me. But yes, uh, I overcome it with what I said I carry as confidence. Uh, and one thing that my parents have given me in hereditary is that smile with people who do not want to wish to move with you, and laugh and learn always as you grow. Because one thing that can stay with you is learning for life, and that will help you to keep moving on to spread whatever knowledge that you're here for. Uh, like I said, I'm on a journey of no competitions, no business critics, learning from everything big and small. My personal life has beautiful people, my parents being my first inspiration, my boy being my second inspiration, my husband being the third, and a lot of other people who have always stood by me and believed in me and my vision and my dreams. Extraordinary dreams, never wanting to do something what everybody else in the world does. From being a non-violent communication certified person, the seventh in India, to being a breakthrough coach, to getting into training coaching industry, and finally getting into the world of Posh. Today, standing as a national secretary of Women and Children Development, uh, working as a global goodwill ambassador, working as wiki president, and a lot of other recognitions, standing with my own company, Right to Rise, wanting to create a very different ecosystem. And with that, yes, helping a lot of lives. Like I said, I'm still a work in progress. Like I said, I'm still a learner in life. My personal, professional, and much more in me can always amaze you by just getting onto a call of one instance and seeing what you and me can synergize to a beautiful society. Thank you so much.
Wow. And I can truly vouch for that, because I have been on calls, several calls with Rena, and definitely she is one of the motivators across. And so it was
So are you,
amazing listening.
Vandana. So for your kind information, Vandana is also a lovely person who has always been connected, and she's also our Wiki Vice President, and she's always been a value add. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Rena. Thank you so much. Shefali.
Thank you so much, Vandana, for having me here. So first of all, good noon, everybody. Thank you so much, HRAI Peterson, for inviting me for such a wonderful topic with such eminent personalities. And you know why it is special for me today? So there are two reasons. One is you are asking a complete what is Shefali in 3 words. And secondly, when Devjani was telling about herself, she was saying that God has been very kind to her. And today I'll acknowledge it at open forum that God has been very kind to me. Since the time I know Devjani, she has been a role model to me. And my first thought process was, will I be ever able to hear her out? And yes, God fulfilled my wish and I heard her in so many discussions. My second wish was, will I be able to moderate her? And God gave me 2 chances. And the third is I'm sharing the stage with her today. So this is my all dreams come true, and thank you so much again once again that I am sharing the stage with a lot to learn from Rena. And yes, Vandana, I've been knowing you for quite long with Leaders Lifting Leaders. You have been an amazing person. Thank you so much. So coming to your question, in 3 words, you are asking me the entire Shefali, my journey as a person, professional, and partner. So first of all, let me talk about as a person. My roller coaster journey has been very interesting. In this pandemic, I identified my purpose and I saw a huge transformation in myself. I'm madly in self-love, and people will be surprised at times when I tell them that I keep watching my WhatsApp DPs and I tell to myself, look how pretty you are. So that's the new Shefali, which has emerged in last 1 or 2 years, that I can say. Profession, I already run my own company with the name of Young Minds. And again, as I said, that this pandemic, this lockdown was a huge transformation time for me. So I discovered my purpose, my passion, and I opened up this platform called Women with Wings, which is on a journey of collaboration, spreading that strong message of women being strong collaborators and not competitors, hand holding women. And Rena beautifully mentioned that FEAR. So we are hand holding women and bringing that FEAR factor out of them. Jo karna hai, bindas karo. We all are there. We as women sometimes need a small push, and which keeps us moving. So Women with Wings as a strong community, even Debjani is a part of that. I'm so thankful to her. We are trying to be that push factor in women, and thankfully we have brought many women out of depression. Many women have started living their dreams, achieving their dreams, and we are so excited. Women with Wings is just a baby, and there is a lot to do in that vertical, because in our country, of course I'm talking about our country only as of now, so there are a lot which has to be done and which can be done in women's space. Now women are just wanting their dreams to fulfill, living for themselves. Self-love is the new concept which we are trying to spread in the air actually. So this is about my professional journey. Coming to my partner, for partner I have a different definition. So my working women, my working professionals, colleagues, friends, family, all are my working partners. They all, and we all have been supportive in one or the other way. So whether we collaborate, whether we help each other, whether we become that circle of influence, whatever we do, we all are partners. And since we all are partners, we are able to do much, much better, and we are able to do, achieve what we as women have kept for ourselves, thought for ourselves, and for the other women. So that's all from my side.
Definitely, truly love your definition of partnership. I totally agree with you, because that, I am also a firm believer that, you really can't separate work life and your professional life. They are now all, and coming to the COVID scenario, I think there is no time we are actually switching off. We are just toggling between work and life. So that's the new normal. And though, I think a lot of people won't agree to this style of working, but I find it really, really well, because I also have, my work colleagues. They are a big, big part of my life, even though I am not a part of any organization now, but they still continue to be close to my heart. So great. Thank you so much, all the panelists. I would now, like to put in a question that, we have just 11% of women in the leadership role. And if you actually pay attention to the McKinsey Global Survey, you know, which actually classifies women at all levels. I'm just talking about the C-suite, and what I see that in 2017 we were 17% women globally who were a part of this, and today in 2021 this is just somewhere around 21%. So the increase in the last 4 years is just a 4%. So that means 1% every year. This is the rate of our growth when it comes to the C-suite. What are your thoughts around this?
Again, in alphabetical order?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's I don't know whether to call it a sad state of affair, or whether it's something that we women have brought it upon us. Because unfortunately, in my career, which has been, as I said, almost 26 years, I've come across enough instances to have examples of both kinds. On one hand, we have women who are tenacious, who are great, very competent, very dedicated, doing the right thing at the right place, and yet they continuously labor under the pretensions that they have to ape male behaviors in order to climb the ranks. Somehow, this particular kind of pretentious behavior, which has become a part of our corporate life, is definitely not helping us women get any further. So, there are these very silly norms that we are told to ape, which is, if you're a boardroom member, and I've been at the boardroom, believe you me, one amongst 15 men, I was the 16th member. So, when you're at the boardroom, you don't laugh by showing your teeth. You're supposed to clench them and only smile through your lips. Now, where in God's name is that written as a behavior at boardroom? I have challenged, and there's nobody who's been able to show me that paradigm. Because I'm somebody who, when I want to laugh, I laugh out with my gut. That's the expression I'd like to have, irrespective of whether I'm in my own bedroom or whether it's the boardroom. If it's something to be enjoyed and if it is fun and laughter, then you laugh, for God's sake. You don't ape and you don't pretend. So, but however, I do meet people even today when I mentor some of these leadership women, I coach them. I find these people continuously parroting these words about, I'm expected to follow certain norms of behavior. And that expectation, unfortunately, is a trap of our own mind. My humble submission is till the time we are able to move out of those traps, till the time we invent the fact that our own latent talent which sits within us is enough to give any man a run for the money, we will not be able to climb those ladders easily, because we will continuously be held back by one or the other pretentious behaviors and pretentious comments which will keep being thrown at us. Second, Vandana, it's not an easy job at the top. I'm sure you know very well about that. You've got to be thick skinned. You've got to actually become completely gender agnostic. And that's not an easy thing to do. I've been part of the syndrome where I've walked into a boardroom or walked into, let's say, a cocktail dinner on an evening, and there are these men in the corner laughing rambunctiously on a joke that has been cracked. Now, sometimes when they look at me entering the door in the room, and we are all C-suite people, and it's a collective, it's a very eminent group, suddenly there's pin drop silence and the laughter dies down. And I'm like, what happened? And somebody just peeks in and says, no, it was a non-vegetarian joke. So my counter to that was that, well, you don't have the gut to accept the fact that a woman can actually participate in enjoying a non-vegetarian joke. That's your problem. Believe you me, it doesn't bother me at all. Whether it's non-vegetarian or vegetarian, I have enough appetite to laugh at both of them. But if you remain conscious that if a lady comes in through the door, you've got to change your behaviors, then that's something which is a labor in pain. And till the time we are able to do away with these kind of norms from the boardrooms and from the corporate rooms and from the corporate corridors, it will remain difficult for women to keep, pushing themselves forth. The final point that I'll make is a lot of women want things easy for themselves. And that's the fraternity I don't have any love for. They want all the benefits. They want to be cherished. They want the titles. They want the hierarchy. They want all the goodies. They want to be in Dubai tomorrow, come back flying back, okay, be known by fancy titles. But when it comes to, wanting to go back home because some problem is there, they will make the most volatile of excuses and want to be given leave at the just of the matter. Everybody has a personal life. Today, we have difficult scenarios where a man and a woman are also trying to balance, the hearth and the home. It is equally difficult for the man, and times it falls upon him to take care of things. I would love the women to stop making excuses for themselves to say that balance of life and work-life balance only pertains to them. It's a misnomer. I don't fall in for that. If you want to fight hard and be at the top of the ladder, be prepared to take the good as well as the bad. Be prepared to walk, on the fire, because that's the only way you can reach there. So I think coupled together, all these things contribute to this very low percentage of women making it to the top. That's my point of view.
Amazing, very, very strong points. And I totally agree to a law, to most of it. I think all of it, because I think, the point that, if you want to make it big in life, you will have to slog. You have to work hard. There is no work-life balance, and that's okay, because this is the dream I have chosen for myself. And that's the thing. I think that's the agenda on the plate. And if you want to go ahead, please make sure you are ready for it. Totally agree. So Rana, on the same note, what are your thoughts with regards to, when a person, on the same thing, how can we actually make people more accepting towards this? because this is something which is already agreed, and as Debjani has already put forward, that I mean, this is something that the question, has this actually, we have actually brought this upon us. you know what are your thoughts?
So with keeping in mind what Devjani has said and with the same thoughts, see, there are two, three things that I find why women can't grow, and that's what is so powerfully coming out when Devjani is interacting with a lot of women, and so is with me. One is that why we still see women as a vulnerable class of society is because of two reasons. One, they start pitting their own selves if they don't are incapable to do something, and when they really want the battle, or when they want to win the battle, they just want to come and take the scepter. They don't even want to work for it. They don't want to put some intentions to it. They don't want to complete the task. And if you ask them to stay overnight or complete the projects, they are the first person to create who and high. And because of that, you have all the top landed contenders starting to have biases against them. Second, intentionally, unintentionally, sometimes, and very many times, we have women not supporting other women. They themselves become their own trapsters because they have this one thing going in their mind: why should somebody else not grow? Okay. And the third thing that comes in all the time is, how's this person saying that she's sick but she's still working? I mean, is there a rule book? Okay, I'm just sharing my own instance. From the last 1.5 months, my entire family is in COVID. So my neighbor comes and tells me, oh, your father-in-law, mother-in-law, and your husband, all of them are COVID victims. How come you've not got COVID? And I'm like, okay, is that a rule book that I'm supposed to get COVID? And how's that you're always on sessions, you're doing workshops, you're doing everything? So that really got me thinking, what is going on in that lady's mind that makes her talk like this? I mean, first of all, are you not even thinking before you talk that you yourself are a lady? I understand we have life, we have families, we have priorities, but nothing gives us the rule book that we can't hit all of them fiercely. Can we not manage and balance our lives? Yes. Are we allowed to bring our views on the table? That we are always silent. We don't want to bring in our views. We don't want to bring in our creative ideas. We don't want to talk when have to be spoken. And yet we have biases, we have perceptions, we have disparities, we have harassment, and all those issues to be spoken about. But when we really are asked, what is that is troubling you? What is that you didn't like about the other gender? We don't want to speak. We want to silence out. So what kind of women's society are we looking at? What kind of really strong people are we looking at? Women empowerment, one sector, we are hitting glass ceilings. We are breaking all biases. We are wanting to create a society. The other gender, which is almost 89 to 90%, because we are also looking at the rural, semi-rural, mid-level people, where we are not educated, we don't know how to handle finances, we don't know how to take care of our own decisions, we don't know policies, we don't know rights, we don't know even how to handle our own journeys. For everything where we are incapable, we run to the other gender. When we feel that, we want it all, then we say, okay, I can handle it. You don't have to, मेरे को बेचारी बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है, मुझे सब आता है. We get up and we start talking like that. So why especially do we have a Women's Day and no Men's Day? And Men's Day started only because of that, because men start questioning, why is Women's Day so specifically? And what is this new feature of calling women entrepreneurs? An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. When you grow, you become an entrepreneur. There is nothing like a woman entrepreneur and a male entrepreneur. A male doesn't get up and say, I'm a male entrepreneur. Okay, he calls himself an entrepreneur. Why do women call themselves women entrepreneurs? So I'm just saying there are a lot of misconceptions in women's mind when they grow. Either you are positively and properly growing completely as an entrepreneur, a bold element, a confident element that, I'm here to create a journey, to create a business, to uplift lives, to uphold lives. And this is what I'm looking at. I need to become self-capable inside out. If I'm not, then I need to understand I'm rowing in a boat with me and my spouse, with me and my family, and I need to be vulnerable to their wishes and mine. Somewhere understanding they have their incapabilities, I have my incapabilities, and we are bridging the gap. If we can do that, we can go a long way and stop cribbing about the other little things ki ye aisa hai wo waisa hai. That is what my views are. That would help a woman strongly grow, and we will have more women reaching on the top as a Bengal tigress, like Devjani ji said, or as a bold woman, or like any other strong women who you see today, who are your role models. That's my views. Thank you.
Great. While point taken, Devjani and Rana, I've taken your point that there are times, wherein women actually show that, card out, and then, they actually, go ahead and make excuses. But also one thing, God is not being kind to everybody. I think, I think I would like Shefali to talk a little more about, because extensively work with women who have actually been, battling, depression, anxiety, and, they are trying to make a mark, but they do not have guidance. And they, and at the same time, I think we all have our, I think I would say, we are lucky. We are born lucky because we have been people. We are having people who are a supporter to us. They have actually supported us, or the fight that we had were pretty small, maybe, compared to what are the fights that a person living in a tier 2 or a village has to go through. Maybe the war of patriarchy for them was not just a door, breaking down a door, but actually was a wall around her, and she is still struggling. What are your thoughts on that, Sifa?
Amazing question, Vandana. So because grass on the other side is not green always, a lot of us have been able to cope up, or some of us have, supportive partners. I was recently going through a survey. It was saying that, professionally ambitious women really only have two options when it comes to their personal partners: a super supportive partner or no partner at all. Anything in between ends up being immoral, and that is what you are asking me. So it is very clear that, women who are from different strata, who don't get family support, who don't get, ample support from in-laws or husband, or maybe like there are a lot of girls who want to do job before their marriage also, but they don't get support from their parents. No, who will look after you? Who will, if you get late from office, then who will take care of you? Even I know a lot of people, because I also mentor a lot of students, young professionals. So they come up with these challenges. So I agree, yes, this is a major challenge. If we get support, it's good for us, and we are able to cross the barriers, and we are able to make it up to the boardroom. But what if we are not able to get the support? One is you have to be a strong headed. Second is you have to be very, if your passion is, you are very much sure that yes, you want to do something, maybe an entrepreneur or a job or anything, whatever you want to do. If you want to do it, stand up for yourself, be ready to take up those challenges. Talk to your family. Tell them that, okay, I know that what are the roadmaps, what are the roadblocks, what are the challenges coming to me. It's okay if you don't support me, if you are, coming from that income strata, that you are able to keep household maids, some help for you. If you get some family support, parent support or anything, it is good for you. But otherwise, the first thing is courage. Stand up for yourself. Second is passion. That are you very serious about it, or do you want to work only because you are a bread earner of your family? So there is a difference between these two situations. If you are passionate about work and you are not getting family support, or if you have to earn the bread for your family and still you are not getting the support. Sorry. So these are two different situations, and basis on the situation, like such cases comes to women with wings also. That like recently we handled a case. There is a single woman who is trying to earn. Family, again, she's a single woman, so she's on her own. She can't do anything. Still, her family, her parents, her brother, her sister, they are not supporting her. Okay, we'll not manage you. She's going through bad health and a lot of challenges she's going through. In this pandemic, a lot of financial issues, a lot of health issues have come up with all of us, many of us. So the family is not supporting. Now, what is she looking for? She is just looking for that acknowledgement in somebody's eyes that if you stand for yourself, you can achieve, you can again stand up for yourself. She lost her job, she is going through bad health issues, she lost her father, she has no money to survive, and a lot of XYZ challenges she's going through. So, what Women with Wings is doing for her? We are just acknowledging her, we are being a listener to her, that it is okay, no problem, stand up for yourself. And believe me, things are turning for her, things are changing for her. She is very highly motivated. She is a positive person. She was in that negativity. She was on the verge of taking depression medicines for herself. No depression medicines, nothing. She is on a job hunt. And we are very sure that with support, the job situation also, is improving in the market. Very soon she'll be getting a job for herself. And that is her passion, that, she is okay to take up a job of a women driver also. Today morning she was telling me, today morning 10 o'clock she called me. She said, ma'am, you know me, I can do jhadu pocha bartan also. I said, look, it is not required. You're so adamant, you are so confident about yourself कि मैं कुछ भी करके दाल रोटी चला लूंगी. That is what is required. You are not shattering. So I feel that courage, confidence, that one push, which I feel that one woman can understand other women. Yes, there are a lot of hindrances. At times, women are competitors also, but at least I can say Women with Wings and similar type of communities where people like Dibjani, people like Rena, people like you, Vandana, can and are actually trying to make a difference, standing strong with women. करना है तो करना है. कोई no looking back. Family क्या कर रही है? If money starts flowing in, they themselves will come to a stage of silence. So self-confidence, trust, passion, that one acknowledgement, I think if you are able to take up these things for yourself, if you are able to have these things, I don't see a challenge, because we honestly, as I mentioned earlier, also that we are supporting many women and they are able to take up for their lives. And we work on pan-India basis. So if you also come across, in case you are also doing for this all such kind of things, we women have to take that strong step कि हमें एक दूसरे के साथ चलना है. If Rana is my competitor, it is okay अगर वो मेरे से ज़्यादा कमा लेगी. तो ultimately जब तक हम whenever we have life, we are spending that money. Ultimately सब कुछ यहीं रह जाना है. It hardly matters अगर मैं 100 रुपए कम कमा लूंगी या 100 रुपए ज़्यादा कमा लूंगी. It hardly matters. So if we work with that mindset, I don't see any issue. So that is my sense.
And Vandana, I'd like to just support that in saying that both Rana and Shefali brought out a very beautiful point, that stop playing the damsel in distress card. Okay, we can keep blaming everybody else. We can blame the man, we can blame the father, we can blame the 14 generations, we can blame everybody else. But at the end of the day, the person who needs to stand for yourself is yourself. If the woman wants to go forward, the woman has to take the first step. Yes, Shefali has brought out a beautiful point, and that's where Women with Wings is doing phenomenal work. That where people feel lost, we just show them the path. But the courage to travel that path has to come from within, because you cannot implant the strength of one woman into the other. That latent strength has to come from within. I think that's the phenomena that we need to somehow unearth. And once we are able to do that, you should see the women fly. They create marvelous stories for themselves. Thank you.
Great. I also wanted, I know, all of you have spoken, but I just had one extra question to this big question and a big issue. And, and that is, when I specifically for the C suite, and there has been numerous surveys to tell you that a lot of women drop out from this journey in the middle way, and there has been a lot of women leaving the mid management. Okay. What can be done while this is something which is understood? What, as per you, anybody, and anyone can actually say talk right now, what do you think can be done in order to ensure retain these women employees who are leaving somewhere in the mid level? And that's the reason the race when you go to the race to the C suite, the number of women you see is less, because we are somewhere losing the good ones.
Vandana, I'll just take a minute here. When you're in the middle levels and when you're actually pushing it very hard to get to the top, and you are seen as a very ambitious and a very competent lady, you automatically create a sphere of uncertainty around you. men become so insecure that they can stoop to any level to even tarnish your character. I'm sorry to say we live in an ecosystem, and the DNA within our male fraternity sometimes can stoop so low that I can't even talk about it. But I have genuine examples where they will talk about how you would have slept with your boss to reach the top. The fact remains that you don't have to, in today's generation, you don't have to do any of that because it's a very transparent corporate. You don't, gone are those days when you see those films, those archaic films on these lines. Okay, here women are vying with each other, with men shoulder to shoulder, because they are competent enough to do so. Having said that, it still requires a lot of character, a lot of guts, a lot of courage to be able to withstand that kind of heat. It's not easy to walk down the corridors of an organization and have insinuations which are doing the rounds in the corridors. So suddenly you find that your peer groups, your senior, your junior, your teammates are all looking at you with a very different kind of an eyesight. That in itself becomes a trigger point where the woman starts thinking that why do I have to get into all this mud? It's better for me to take it easy and possibly go back to a life where I don't have to continuously face this kind of insinuations. So that is a very real life issue which happens to a lot of women in a lot of corporates, irrespective of how big, large, and whether they are multinationals or whether they're Indian corporates. It happens all around. Enough cases are there. Luckily, with Posh coming in now, and with a certain amount of courage that women have been able to muster for themselves, knowing that there is a real life corporate structure which is available to protect us, some of these nefarious stories are coming out in the open. But we still have a long way to traverse before some of this nonsense and muddy situations needs to be cleared up. That is one of the biggest reasons for people falling off, when they are actually trying to push the ladder for themselves.
Yeah, I think we've Vandana's not around there. Okay, I'll just add to
Yes,
what
just
Devjani ma'am is talking. That's okay, cool, Peterson. We'll just wait for her to come back. So
sure.
I totally resonate with what Devjani ma'am is talking about, how mid-level women feel when they are trying to make it on the top. And every point of what she said is somewhere there in most of the corporate houses that we see. I want to bring in a very different point here. Now, the question is not for only we women to speak about how we are undergoing certain judgmental spaces or judgmental bias. We have so many men here. And somehow, even though I speak about posh, safe workspaces, I'm sometimes also looking at the other perspective of the men undergoing a lot of sexual harassment, abuse, biased perspectives. I just want to ask two questions very boldly to this crowd here with wonderful viewers that we have. For specifically the men here. I know we are in a patriarchal society. I know even though we are hitting 22nd century today, okay, and we say India is a more progressed nation, not a progressive, but a progress nation, we see a lot of changes that have been coming in, also a change in mindsets, also a change in ecosystems, also a change of accepting of posh policies and many other compliances. But still, after talking so much about mindsets and gender sensitization and all these, we still have a lot of us who are men. Okay, I'm just noting. We have a lot of us, we still are stuck with certain norms of what we are taken ahead from our elders, from our the the uh, the forefathers who are bringing up, and we have been following the same patterns. What makes you feel that grow more stronger to you, and what makes you stop when she wants to grow? Because this is always going to be difference. Okay, and me being a woman, I really feel that this answer should come from you, where you should be saying, look, I don't really see this women growing because they think no end of themselves. That's totally cool, but I need to hear that. Okay, some of them coming up and saying, मैं कैसे देखूं कि मेरी वाइफ मेरे से आगे बढ़ती है? लेकिन आप उस तरीके से सोचिए कि अगर आपकी वाइफ आगे बढ़ती भी है, क्या उसमें आपके घर की इज्जत ज्यादा नहीं होती? क्या उससे आपके घर में ज्यादा पैसा नहीं आता? क्या उससे आपकी आपकी रिस्पेक्ट, आपकी इंटीग्रिटी ज्यादा नहीं हो जाती कि घर का वही सदस्य, चाहे वो मर्द है चाहे वो औरत है, आगे बढ़ के still we are having that kind of an ecosystem where we are having high respect for maybe Mr. Verma or Gadavi or whoever the Mr. Joshi or Nigoskar. I'm just taking the surnames. Okay, whether it is man or woman of the house, how does it matter if a woman grows higher to a man in whatever post? Specifically, as Devjani took up the boardrooms, I came across this one situation where a lady was seriously not liked at her company and she was in this mid level. And one of the days, after being insulted, even after the boardroom, she steps into this elevator, and I'm obviously a part of some committee in their place. And I also step in the elevator, and there are these three men, one woman, me, and that lady. And they still are laughing over it. And this lady has been very silent during the boardroom chats and even after that. And now she's in this elevator. And after hearing so much, the sentence which came out from her mouth was, अगर इतनी ही पड़ी हुई है ना, तो दिखा देती हूँ कि मेरे अंदर भी क्या है. After hearing so much. Okay, so it's not that every time silence doesn't speak up. It's not that every time we will be quiet, but I'm just trying to give you a reflection moment that not all of us are like that. But if we see somebody like that in many of our ecosystems, we don't even get up to stand up for our own people. We don't stand up for Indians. We don't stand up for each other. We don't stand up for our own company people. Is that not right? We're talking about hitting glass ceilings across borders. We want India to be a strong country. Why are we not able to even stand up for our own people, whether it's our own homes, whether it's our own wives or husbands or spouses or family members or even the same company? Why can't we stand as one unit? If it is HRAI, why not HRAI stand all 6 people? Why is it only the headache of the CEO, COO, or the first level of people? Why not the whole as an entity? I'm sorry, I spoke too long, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that thought. And yes, giving it over to you, Vandana. Welcome back.
Thank you, everybody. And I'm so sorry. Thank you, Rana, for taking in. I can see that passion and totally understandable. Yes, these things happen in real life, and they have been happening. And when we are celebrating our journey, I think mentioning about the challenges is something which is very, very important, because as we all know, no journey is complete without challenges. So, moving on to my next question that I have for the panel. The Global Gender Gap Report, which was released in 2020 by the World Economic Forum, states that it takes another 257 years for men to have, for women to have equal pay. That's the scenario. And in somewhere, in my career as an HR professional, I've also seen when it comes to salary negotiation, the one thing which is very, very evident, and I've done it myself, and I have no shame in accepting it, that my salary is not an issue. Money is not a problem, because I come from a family which pays me. Why am I doing job if I'm not worried about money? Everybody works for money, but when it comes to the salary point, this is a common statement which all people actually make. Many. And I have asked myself after, say, I think after my second job, I had this realization that I can actually speak. I can actually, and it took time. It took time. So, I think we will do a reverse order now. Shifali, what do you think about this? This is some, at the rate at which we are growing, it's going to take so many years. I think we won't even exist to see that day.
I agree, Vandana, because the way we are going, however, so many global organizations, Indian organizations are joining hands and doing a lot on gender diversity and inclusion. But still, survey says that it is going to take 250 plus years and maybe more than that. So my take on this is, they commonly say, and it was a review from Harvard Business, as long as man's career isn't disturbed by his wife's success, it is a happy-go-lucky family. And if a man's career is at stake, then we all know what happens in the house, inside the house. So there is an article from Harvard Business Review on this. If you can't find a spouse who supports your career, stay single. So, when we are talking about such kind of gender gap reports, the surveys, and that too coming from so recognized bodies, says that if you are not able to be thoughtful, be wiseful, as Devjani mentioned, that she took time to find her life partner, and thankfully she found a good partner. So yes, she was blessed to have such a good partner, but in case if we are not, or if we are not able to gel up with the partner, it is always, the survey says, it is always good to stay single if you want to proceed ahead in your career. Again, there are a lot of clause to this thing, not being very biased towards women or towards men. This was a statement which I was recently going at Harvard Business Review. So the 20th century says that sees the rise of women. The 21st century will see the adaptation of men to those consequences of that rise. But honestly, if you talk about my perspective, I feel that these problems keeps coming. ये आना जाना चलता रहता है. If we talk about men, if we talk about their journey, they might also go through a lot of things at times. In few organizations, we see that the male bosses under pressure because of female employees. The male bosses are, not able to work efficiently and properly because they have a fear that female boss can put a complaint against them. And if one complaint, and they are just sacked off the job. So the challenges are equally at men and at women level, at both the levels it is there. But here today we are talking specifically about women. So I would like to say that, we just make a circle around ourselves. मुझे तो जॉब मिलेगा ही नहीं, 5 वैकेंसीज निकली हैं, 5 एप्लीकेशंस मेल के चले जाएंगे तो मेरा तो नंबर आएगा ही नहीं. When we start with all those thoughts and we approach for a job, तो चांसेस वैसे ही कम हो जाते हैं बिकॉज हमारा थॉट प्रोसेस ही थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव हो जाता है, और मे बी द चांसेस टू गेट दैट जॉब. And because when I talk to few of my friends or acquaintances, so because I'm into recruitments also, so we get those vibes. अभी तो जॉब मार्केट इतना खराब है, the survey says कि women को जॉब से निकाला जा रहा है, मुझे तो मिलेगी नहीं जॉब. Why will you not get a job if you're deserving? And this pandemic has honestly taught all of us that it is now not about 8 hours. You are multitasking. You can manage the family, you can manage the child, you can manage the job, you can manage work from home, you can manage the household chores, buys, food, clothing, jhadu pocha bartan, everything you can manage. And we all have come out with flying colors in this situation, managed our homes and our offices, our profession, everything for last 1 year. And so many of us are still managing it efficiently. So why can't we get to have that job? We commonly say कि जो डर गया, they are given a backstage. So what we do is generally जब we are at negotiation table, अच्छा 10 लाख ऑफर किया है, पता नहीं जॉब मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा, पता नहीं जॉब मिलेगा नहीं, चलो हाँ कर देती, चलो जॉब तो है, सैलरी तो आएगा नेक्स्ट मंथ. But if you are confident about your profile, if you are confident that you will be able to give 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever is the demand of the job, if you are confident that you will get that job, why don't you stick at 12 lakhs? नहीं मुझे 12 लाख ही चाहिए. But we have that fear in us, नहीं मिलेगा, फिर क्या होगा, फिर 1 महीना और ढूंढना पड़ेगा, 10 पे ही हाँ कर देती हूँ. This is what I feel, we have to take strong actions. Like if we talk about men, generally study says कि men इतना नहीं सोचते हैं. They have a very clear figure in their mind. मुझे 12 लाख चाहिए. कितना भी कंसल्टेंट, कितना भी कंपनी उनको समझा दे, वो 11.85 पे भी नहीं मानेंगे. 12 मीन्स 12, मेरे ये सेट खर्चे हैं. दे आर वेरी गुड इन कैलकुलेशंस इन मैनेजिंग द फाइनेंसेस. मेरा EMI है, मेरा बच्चे का फीस है, मेरा सेविंग्स है. सो दे आर वेरी कैलकुलेटिव. एंड वुमेन एट द सेम टाइम, हस्बैंड तो कमा रहा है और मे बी आई एम एबल टू मैनेज इन माई सैलरी, चलो 10 पे ही सेटल कर जाते हैं. So I feel it is more about our mindset, our thought process. If we are very clear that I deserve 12 lakhs because I am able to give whatever time you ask from me, I deserve, though I have those skills, I have capabilities, I have team building opportunity, whatever is the demand of the job. If we are confident enough, there is no stopping. And even if one company stops, but you still keep a strong foot for yourself, I don't see a stopping for ourselves. This is what I feel. Would love to hear from other panelists.
Yes, Rena.
Okay, I think
I would just a small request to everybody, if you can actually concise your thoughts a little, looking at the time. If not, Peterson is gonna give me looks. Your discussion is shooting over time.
thank you, Vandana. I'll keep that really short. In fact, I was just trying to tell the same thing. I'm going to make it very brief. My thoughts on this are a little different. Um, we've been seeing the figures over different statistics, but in India, as far as I know, the number of entrepreneurs in the last few years have shooten up very much. Okay, and if you, me, and all our entrepreneurs see, ladies are very clear, very shrewd in what they want, very clear minded, very sharp, very clear pitched. And if they don't know, then they have been taught or they learn it. How do you pitch what you want to your client can be learned and can be skilled up. In fact, Art of War is a very nice book if any of you want to read about it. And if you get hold of that book, in a very, very good book, it's a very nice book which tells how exactly you need to pitch your stuff onto your market and be sharp and shrewd in whatever you want to see as pay rise, pay hike, leadership post, or any of the things. Uh, Looking at this other sector of the world. So entrepreneurs are quite clear, they are growing really sharp, and many of them. But looking at the 9 to 5 people, the people in the corporate sector, a lot of them I know now, at least, are trying to understand how they need to open up to new markets. Okay, and those who don't know are still stepping up. They are. I have a lot of friends who are working in the corporate world, individuals, friends, and people who are clients, and they come back and say, we want. What do you think if we step up into the entrepreneur journey? I said, it's not easy. Are you ready for it? If you're ready, then jump into it. But otherwise, step up to what you actually want. Start writing down what is that you are lacking and what is that you look at not getting from your company. And the first thing they say is respect. My boss doesn't understand me. My expectations are not being met. It's never about money. It's never about position. It's only about understanding and bridging the gap. And that gap has to be done, but nothing other than communication. They have to be very assertive. I have done this much work in this much period of time and met so many targets, and I deserve a pay rise. I deserve a projection. I deserve a particular position. I deserve a leadership post. And most of them who are able to crack their self-talk and unable to break your internalized talk that we say, they break up and they go and do that, they get it. Almost all of them. Okay, and I have people who have done it and they've got even double pay hikes and double good positions. And I was very happy to see that something that has just been said as a tip has worked. So the only inhibition I see is putting out the clear vision of what you want in front of your bosses or your managers, and you will get it. The only thing what we don't do is communicate assertively what we want. That's the only which I see for 9 to 5 people. If they do that, I'm sure it will work. If you need any help, yes, ask for help. Help is always given at Hogwarts.
You all get ping Rena for special tips.
No, I can share them here. I think HRAI can share them all the time. So yeah, you can reach out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just to add up to what both Shafali and Rana said, I think at the end of the day, it's your competence, it's your ability to put your work to the best of your ability. It's showcasing and making visible what you bring to the table. And one of the things we need to learn how to do well with precision is keeping your KRAs absolutely top notch. You have to understand the language of metrics. Today, we are in the world of metrics. Whatever work I'm doing, that needs to be evaluated objectively. If I can rub shoulders with a man stating my work in absolutely objective manner, there's no way that anybody is going to deny me the right perspective. I have never had to really beg for anything extra. Let me tell you very clearly. But yes, sometimes we fall flat because we start becoming shy about extracting our pound of flesh. Now, why should we fall flat if we are working that hard, if we are putting so much labor? On top of that, I think a woman puts in double the effort because you the moment you work, you come back home and you walk into home, your second inning starts already. So if you're actually doing that and you're doubling up all the time, you should have that gregariousness and the ability to be assertive enough to put forth your point of view and demand what is truly yours. I still remember when the first stock option scheme was launched in Bharti Airtel, and they became the telecom kings in the year 2001. The person who got in the grid of 9 to 9 the highest number of shares of 11,000 was me. Even people with higher ranks could not get as many. And I landed up with 11,000 shares. Believe you me, a lot of my current assets, whether it's a house or a car or a lot of my abilities, are still based on that kitty that I carry from Bharti. Who can even forget something like that? So, whether it's a double promotion, whether it's extraordinary incentives, whether it's pay for your ability and your work, you have to clearly state it. And you have to be absolutely unflinching and not obligatory about it. There are no free lunches. Similarly, your ability to contribute to the growth of the organization also comes with a lot of hard labor. You should not flinch away from that. I think that will be the ability which will draw the right kind of pay. Having said that, it's a long cry. Equity is a long distance, and equity is not a long distance only in India, it's a global phenomenon. I think we are in this race together. Let's make sure that we are able to do whatever is required.
Great. And on that note, I have my last question, but very, very again important question. During the pandemic, the pandemic has impacted, I think, everybody. But then again, there is a survey with more women leaving the workforce. So as per the survey, we have just 54% of women working in 39% of women working in the India inclusive. However, out of the 39%, 54% have left during this pandemic. And the reason which have been quoted are not just involuntary, like they have not been just as a part of a layoff process. There have been a lot of voluntary resignations as well. And I would request the forum to discuss on that.
So Vandana, I have an example to share here. So you rightly mentioned that there were many voluntary resignations which came in this pandemic. Now, just to take a very very clear example, there is an office situation, and because of this pandemic situation, the office creche are closed. Now, the work demands that the lady has to be in the office. The daycare centers are closed or maybe working with limited capacity. The timings are not permitting, or we are not confident enough to leave our child in the daycare. When the discussions happen within the family, how many men will agree to leave the job and sit at home, and women can take up the job and go to office? This is one situation. There are similar, so many situations, but at the same time, we say when it comes to, we were mentioning about communication, but when it comes to emotions, I think women are considered to be more emotional than men. And when it comes to emotions, so women ही है जो first step लेगी, no, for my child, for my kid, I will leave the job and let me sit back at home. There are very few parents, like one of my friend, they had a similar situation in America. So both husband and wife quit the job and they started their entrepreneurship journey. And they ensured that if the wife has to travel or has some work, they have twins. And both the twins are suffering from autism. So the husband is at home, and when husband has to travel, the wife is at home. So this is my simple answer to your question.
Great. Devjani?
Completely echo what Shefali said. It has to come with a lot of understanding and serious responsibility sense. Everything said and done, the mother, the wife, they have always been the progeny. They have been the bearers of progeny. They are the ones who bring life into this world. As a result of the fact, howsoever careerist and howsoever strong we women become in the external forum, when it comes to home and hearth, we still fall shy. We still become very, very weak. And I don't really want to make it sound like we do it without our volition. Sometimes it's just in our nature, it's in our DNA to go that extra mile, because that's how I think we are made of. That's the DNA that we carry. So let's not shy away from the fact, and as rightly said by Shafali, how many people in such a situation will be the giver? Most of the people will be takers. So there's this perennial dilemma in our social syndrome of the giver and the taker. And it's because of trying to keep that equilibrium intact between a give and take. That's how good homes are formed. So whether you call it a dropout rate in the corporate, or you call that as an inability to hold your own, at the end of the day, it will be the woman who will step forth and take the majority responsibility for wanting to create a proper, formidable, and keeping the home and the hearth also alive and kicking. I think that's important. And we need to also look at it with the same sensitivity and emotions as we are fighting for our place in the corporate world. Both coexist.
Great. I also want to bring this point. While the pandemic has also brought we, the working women, closer to what has been the experience of a homemaker. A homemaker has, and every year WHO publishes a lot of data on unpaid care that we are giving as women, and I think a lot of men are also giving. But then I really want Rena, for you to talk about it. How do we actually manage this?
So, see, there are two, three things that we need to understand. First of all, even though we say we are a very forward-looking company and a forward-looking city and a nation, every house has its own rules. Okay, so even if we have a great gender index, even if we have great progressive culture, even if we have great laws, the household head becomes the ruler of the house. Okay, now whether that's a male or a female, or together, that decides their ecosystem. इसका मतलब है कि मेरे घर और आपके घर दो अलग अलग चीजें होंगी. Even though we have same rules, even though we have posh, even though we have different genders, it is decided by the people in the house. It can be elders, it can be husband, wife, it can be the people who are staying together. Now, with the question that you posed, that how do you manage this? Again, I would say the ground rules is to understand what are the rules of your house and how are you communicating them. I can have a rule of my house, but whether I choose to accept it or whether I choose to deny it, or whether I change the mindset of my ecosystem or the elders or the husband or the people around, it's in my hand. For some people, it is very difficult because money, people, lifestyles, and from where you emerge matter. It might be easy for a person who is flaunting with a lot of money to manage all this, because you can keep servants, you can manage mindsets, and you can change everything that's around you. For a person who's not very well placed, for him, it is most important to first, the ground rules or the basic needs have to be met first. So, क्या ये important है कि मैं काम छोड़ दूं? क्या ये important है कि मैं अपने husband को देखूं और बच्चा को देखूं? Because हम pandemic में हैं, तो पहले safety, health is the first constraint. So I will first focus on the safety and my health. I will first focus on my family. I will not focus on what my boss is saying or whether I get the money, because even after that there is TDS and GST who suck my blood. Let's come to the reality of India, right? So even after that, if I'm going to get Tony pennies, then do I sit and waste my time there, or do I take care of my setup? But for a person who's maybe mid-level or high level, he can afford to get extra people, extra supporters. And even if you don't have too many mates, you still have ecosystems that support you. People who are around you, who you nurture. I nurture the people around me. And that is why it is so strongly built. You have to nurture the people around you. Again, comes down to what kind of ethics, what values you carry. How are you communicating what you do, why you do, and why you believe that you are doing things right. That has to be said. And if people feel what you say in the most subtlest way, that yes, I think she has a point to make there, then the most difficult person turns down towards you. So I would just come down to it saying again, There is no one rule for all. If I say do this, it may or may not work on your ecosystem, because it is you who are going to go and do that, not me. कोई दूसरा आके आपके घर को बना भी नहीं सकता, बिगाड़ भी नहीं सकता. करना और करवाना आपको ही है. कैसे करना है? हर एक घर का अलग अलग नियम है. Every house has its own rules and regulations. We need to follow them. We can reframe them, we can rephrase them, but again, it requires a lot of confidence, a daredevil kind of an attitude, and a subtle communication.
So I think, fair deal. Thank you, all of you, for actually talking really from your heart and not just your mind. Okay, and thank you so much for enlightening us with the the pointers, like how women have to actually know their agenda. They have to be courageous. While the world will try to scare you, you have to not spell that out, FEAR. And then, you have to be responsible for your own self. You have to stand for your own dreams. And, you have to be having someone, you have to become someone who is thick skinned, who can actually take a non vegetarian joke. So the discussion was, I'm sure, we have not provided a closure to a lot of pointers, but that's how the world it is right now. A lot of point of views we are actually conceptualizing as we grow. Okay, and for me, I think the panel did justice in directing almost all our listeners today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and over to you, Peterson.
There is no equal, there is no force equal to a woman who is determined to rise. A beautiful quote by Du Bois. Before we move on to the Q&A session, we will be running a poll. We have also exceeded the time limit, but however, owing to the current time constraints, we will cover those questions in an email. We will have our esteemed panel members respond to those questions in an email. So request all our participants to kindly share your feedback on our today's session. Thank you, Ms. Vandana, for taking us through this beautiful discussion. Thank you, Ms. Shefali, Ms. Devchani, and Ms. Raina for sharing your life learnings to motivate all the women out there. Thank you, Raina, for referring the books to us. To all those who wish to learn and grow, you can access the recordings of our today's session on a YouTube link shared in the chat window. Before we conclude with our today's session, we would also want to thank all the association, Geisha, NASCOM COE, GlipTalk, Talgrow, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local, and Ahmedabad for supporting for supporting HRAI's event. To know more about these associations, I request you to kindly visit the link provided in the chat window. Do join us for our next event on connecting the dots on the topic Top Talent, Attracting, Developing, and Retaining on the 15th of July 2021 at 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Request you all to kindly register for this event in the link mentioned in the chat window. See you soon, stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Keep learning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you, Shyam. We can hereby conclude with our today's session.